Welcome to Virtual Concert Hall's live programs. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jennifer Savage, and I will be your host for today's show. Today, our topic will be exploring labels as they relate to our lives, our experiences, and anywhere from the lens of musician, artist, manager, performer, and all the way down to eye level of the crude and unfiltered human being. Why label anything? Does anyone pay attention to them? There is no one-size-fits-all answer, and this could leave you with more questions than simple answers, but it's more real that way, and that is what we are here for. And here is a little preview to check out our last episode. Check it out. Today we will be exploring, do you need a bag?
Important versus unimportant. Do you want a bag? And I'd say, yeah, sure. And then they say they put 10 cents on the bill, which is no big deal. But I'm thinking to myself, why are you charging for bags? I came to your store. Isn't that enough? And then I started realizing what's going on, of course. Oh, it's COVID. I just don't get what is important in life. That's what this subject is all about. You know, the world's problems on your shoulders all over the place. Do you really need to pay for a bag? So why did they say, do you need a bag? They should say, each bag is 10 cents. The definition of a sophisticate or the elite, they say something and they do another thing. Why think about things that you know are going to aggravate you? I prefer to think about pleasing things, beautiful things, conceptual things. Why are we paying for bags? That's the question. It's not so much the answer that matters, it's why are we even talking about it? It's like PR. First of all, you've got the label on their Dollar Tree. It's promoting, I mean, the bag has their logo. It's sort of like a podium exchange in music, you know.
Conductors.
One conductor from one orchestra goes to the podium or the, you know, the orchestra of the other conductor, and the other guy comes to his orchestra. It's called a podium exchange. I think things like this are issues because of distraction. I think life is so complicated today that it's so messed up that people need to be distracted. Well, you know, Sally, actually people are more worried about their pool chemicals and lawn chemicals than they are whether or not they're going to be moved by your playing. And they go, what? The reason I'm talking to you this way is because nobody cares. The distractions in life are bad. That's what I think. That's my opinion.
Do you believe
you should be focused on what you need to do, and nothing should take you off that track. That's why this is an issue.
And that was our last recap episode. And today I'm excited to be joined live with co-host and celebrated partner in crime, Dikranatamian, otherwise known as Jack Price. And just to give a little introduction here, formerly known as Dikranatamian and now known as Jack Price, he began his career in artist management in response to his own career as an RCA recording artist after winning first prize in the 50th anniversary Naumburg competitions, and as well as being known as the crazy pianist who premiered The Right for solo piano. Welcome to the show, Jack Price.
Thanks.
Great to have you for our season finale.
That's final show.
Final show of the season. All right. And without further ado, let's dive right into what is behind door number 1 for today's topic. Yeah. So labels. Why label anything? And what do you mean by that, Jack Price? Tell us what you really think.
I'll tell you what I really think. I mean, labels are they're a necessary evil, I think, like many people feel competitions are, I mean, a lot of people think competition is not good. Actually, it's good for business because when you're pitted against somebody else, it tends to bring out, the best in you and you want to beat them and all that stuff. But I don't really feel that's necessarily positive. Neither do I think labeling things, because then you're doing what I call pigeonholing or categorizing, if you want, things into little. It's like going to a mail slot at a university. You see everybody's mailbox, and then somebody gets you put a piece of mail in the wrong slot, and somebody doesn't get their mail, and someone else gets their mail, and it's similar to that. Like if you label something as, let's just say, musical rather than unmusical. Well, like I was playing the Barber Sonata once for somebody, a recording of it for this guy, and he goes, "That's really unmusical." Well, what he meant to say was it's a modern piece or a 20th century piece, and it didn't sound melodic to him. And actually, the Barber Sonata is a very romantic piece. It's not very modern at all, really. It's kind of modern, but it was written a long time ago. And it's not really what you would call contemporary music. But so that is a label in itself. Is it contemporary music? Is the Barber Sonata 20th century music? Well, it was written in the 20th century, but what is 20th century music? Are you saying that it's modern? Are you saying that it's...
What do you mean by that label, right?
Yeah. Well, are you saying it's atonal? Are you saying it's 12 tone? Are you saying it's off the wall? Are you saying there's plucking going on in the piano? I mean, or whatever instrument. People can't. What's Dalla Piccola, for example, is one of my favorite composers. I like Luigi Dalla Piccola a lot, but you can't really. Yeah, it's 12 tone, but you can't really just categorize it as 12 tone. It's so much more than 12 tone. Just like saying, is the Elliott Carter Piano Sonata a modern work? Well, it's quite advanced for its time, but is the Rite of Spring a modern work? In other words, it was written, in 1911 or something? I mean, it's very advanced work for the time when you consider Rachmaninoff was writing piano concertos. At the same time,
overlapping,
at the same time, the Berg Sonata was written.
It's weird to think that way.
I mean, he's obviously a neo-romantic. There's another label. I mean, Rachmaninoff is a neo-romantic. But I don't think it's that particularly good to call Rachmaninoff a neo-romantic, for example. Rachmaninoff's Rachmaninoff.
Why is that?
Beethoven's Beethoven, for example. Why? Because Beethoven is considered a classical composer. But I mean, come on. Especially after he went stone deaf, you're going to tell me that
late Beethoven,
Opus 132, the quartet is classical. It's almost in orbit, it's around the moon, and 111, the 111 of Beethoven, the last piano sonata. I mean, it's one of the most cataclysmic things that you'll ever hear. And yet it has classical elements, but it's very post-classical,
It's a departure from what your idea of classical, this box definition of classical is. And that 109 is when you first hear it, you're like, is this really Beethoven?
Yeah, right. It's very, free, and I wouldn't say romantic, but let's say, take 111, it's like
introspective.
I mean, that second movement, what is it, Debussy? Is it Ravel? With all that meandering around way out. It's sort of like late Liszt,
Right, yeah.
It's like,
anyway,
you can't really...
Right.
I do like it very much, but I mean, what is late Beethoven? I mean, you can't. It's just late Beethoven. You can't. And then what about Mozart? There were really no periods in Mozart. He has the most astonishing things like the Jeune Homme Concerto No. 9, the E flat.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's very advanced work for its time. And then yes, I'll be willing to say that the Requiem, which is a Kershaw listing of 600 something versus 271, which is the Jeune Homme. I wouldn't say that the Jeune Homme was that advanced as the Requiem is, or as the Clarinet Concerto. But in a way, the Clarinet Concerto sounds very classical, whereas the Requiem almost sounds like a movie score. So I mean,
so this is the consequence of labeling, right? And why do people label? I mean, I'll venture to say I believe that people label things because humans like to categorize things, and it's easy to just say, Rachmaninoff neoclassical or neo-romantic, and so are these other composers. You kind of it's easy to organize all these composers into these specific labels and boxes, and but
or if you don't
throughout
like
their life, they change. Like we were talking about, they have like 3 different periods.
They do change. Yeah, and people change. For example, Trump was a Democrat, now he's a Republican. See, so I mean, political.
Yeah.
I mean, Nixon is much more liberal than anyone has ever thought, and Kennedy was a conservative. The parties have flip-flopped.
People change. Right.
Well, not only people have changed, complete movements have changed.
Movements also.
Bodies of people and groups have changed over the years. Like that was considered the conservative party in the early 60s. And so, I mean, he was a fiscal conservative, Kennedy, that is. And so you can't just say, oh, he's a Democrat, so he's liberal. Well, that's not true. I mean, so many of them are a mix, or they're right down the middle, what you call a centrist, right?
The centrist,
okay. Yeah. So a centrist is obviously going to try to play both sides of the fence.
Right.
Right. I'm not saying that's good. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying, why can't we stop labeling things? Now, of course, this is a piano, right? I mean there's no doubt about
it. Right. I think that's why. Yeah. Go on though.
No, I'm just saying, obvious things like I'm on a computer. You can't call this thing anything else but a computer. You can't call these anything but glasses, really,
right?
Or eyewear or something. But they're not labels; they're names. So names are not labels. Labels are not names. They are a very distinct category of things, so when you say
it's like an absolute definition, right?
Yeah, when you say I'm going to label something, well, that that reminds me of like a little piece of tape with a name on it. You put it on a folder. I'm going to label this folder. Okay, that's okay. But when you're
your labeler,
when you start labeling people and movements and works and literature and music, I think you're really in a lot of trouble, So the whole motto or point of this whole story or episode is that in the case of music, Bach is Bach. It's not Baroque. You say it's Baroque, but what is Baroque? Because you have Rococo, you have pre-Baroque, you have music antiqua, you have, all this other. Now, clearly, Gregorian chant is not like Bach, but can you say it's Baroque? No. I mean, you can't really, not if you call Bach Baroque and Handel Baroque and Scarlatti Baroque. You can't mention them in the same breath. They're not the same. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like anything. Again, this show is going to be a flashback to almost everything we've done. It's all related. So labels are futile at best,
But then why? Why do we need them? Why do we label things? Why do we need them?
I can tell you why. Mostly for branding. People have to brand things. Yeah, they have to brand like the brand. Well, see, the brand really is the name. Coca-Cola is a brand. You say, oh, we don't want to hurt the Coca-Cola brand name, but the brand is the name, not the drink itself. It's the name. So why don't we just say Beethoven's the brand instead of saying he's classical and labeling him? Just say it's Beethoven. Like, okay, what's the difference between Oscar Mayer francs and ballpark francs and Hebrew national francs? They're all hot dogs. Okay.
Right.
But
I think people don't have time to learn the actual names. It's like one thing to go, a soda company or like Coke, this flavor of soda, and then it's another to keep going Coca-Cola. When it takes too much, brain power, almost, people don't have time for the nuance, right? Classical music, and then we go into classical period of music, and then one step further is Beethoven.
That's a great point,
right?
That's a great point you bring up. I tend to go towards serious music, and I'll go even further and call it continuing music rather than call it classical music. This is a topic that's come up a lot in my career. They say, like, hey, Richie, why do they call it classical music when classical is only one period of music? Because you have Baroque and contemporary and expressionistic, impressionistic, romantic, pre-Baroque, Rococo, whatever, or 20th century modern. What's modern music? What is it?
What is modern? Yeah, modern keeps going, it seems like,
I think contemporary music would have to be something like Xenakis or, some Stockhausen, you could say is modern, even though it was written a long time ago, or Krennic. Ernst Krennic is a modern composer, but he's not contemporary like right now. What's the music like? Higdon? Okay, that's the composer she's still composing, right? I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be contemporary because they're our contemporaries. But again, you get into a lot of trouble. But the main problem with this industry is that you call it classical music, but it's not classical music. It's a terrible label. And besides, it gives off very bad connotations to the non-follower or the non-believer in this music.
To the general public that are involved. Yeah.
The pop culture is not going to accept classical music. They're going to say, oh, yeah, that long-haired stuff. Think of a maestro on
the wigs,
on podium with wheelie long hair going like this all over the place. Yeah. Instead of, a real conductor, they're waving their arms or swatting flies. That's what they say sometimes. Like if you talk about a bad conductor, you go, yeah, he's just swatting flies up there.
Right. Yeah. But it's good that you mentioned there's so many connotations to these words, these labels, when they're used so often and over again as categories, right? There's so many connotations to classical music, the things that the things that come to mind. And this goes for any label, right? A lot of these labels, when you say the word, the thing that you first think of is just the generalized or stereotype, right?
Well, I'll tell you how I came up with my labels, if you want to call them serious and continuing versus classical. Okay, so classical means only one period. It means nothing. When they say classical music, you just think of Mozart or something. Well, you're not going to think of Brahms. Right. Okay, although he's like the romantic classicist. You see how you get in trouble?
Yeah.
So, because Brahms has more of a sonata allegro type structure to his work, but then what about the rhapsodies, and what about the capriccios? And although those are not, or the Brahms Handel variations has no form that resembles a sonata allegro form, or the Paganini.
His body of work is complex. Yeah, you can't just say it's one thing. That wouldn't be accurate.
But call it continuing means it's going to last. Okay, the music of the masters, as they call it, these kinds of composers will endure time. Okay, it's very doubtful that, I'm not going to malign other forms of music like, Elvis or something, but I like Elvis a lot. A lot. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Don't
worry.
That's the theme song to what you just heard is the theme song to The Great Escape. Sorry. That's my ringtone. Okay, so that's another kind of music. There you go, film music.
Yeah.
And then what is film music? Is it incidental? Is it background? Is it atmospheric? It's like calling.
There's so many different types. Yeah.
And there are these theaters that are called atmospheric theaters. I don't know if you've heard of them. They have ceilings that look like the sky and stars, and they call them atmospheric theaters, like concert halls even. There's one in some town in Indiana once I played in an beautiful theater, and it was rebuilt, but they're called that because I guess they lend themselves to a certain atmosphere. When you walk in, you feel, like really nice or something, I don't know. I can't really speak on the topic, but labels just don't work. So calling it continuing music doesn't really work. Calling it serious music could work because it differentiates it from pop and fun music, like rock. When you think of rock and you think rock and roll and you think of jazz, maybe not jazz, that's more serious, but any other genre like bluegrass, it's more entertaining. People don't think of classical music as entertaining. I can tell you that. Yeah, they do not. Yeah. This is not entertainment. This is serious.
Well, anymore, it used to be, that used to be the entertainment, but things have changed again, right? Like, the passage of time, it seems like for all of these, whether it's this concept of classical music or the composers' lives in their different periods, the passage of time means that there is going to be nuance to all of these labels. These labels they don't convey the passage of time and the change that occurs during that time.
And also the attention spans of audiences have deteriorated over the centuries to the point where now people, they can't sit still for 5 minutes of music,
Right. So, so let me get why do you think people label things? Why do you think that?
Is this door number 2 or
this is door number 1 still?
It's still, why label anything?
Like why?
Because, I said earlier, because of branding and because they have to pigeonhole things and they have to categorize things and they have to, it's like control. Okay. If you want to control a people, what do? You exert your power or your techniques on a country or whatever, like North Korea, that's the ultimate control, the guy that runs that country is a control freak. Okay. In my opinion, I'll go on the record saying that. But it is a bit of control to label things so that you say, okay, this is modern, this is old, this is new, this is whatever, because it gives you a way to market that thing. It gives you it is pigeonholing, it is categorizing, it's putting it in a little box. But
branding.
Things, Yeah, things don't tend to stay in boxes, like you said.
No,
they evolve and they change and they morph into things that they probably never knew they were going to morph into.
Right, right. Yeah.
I mean,
okay, yeah.
It's just one of those things. That's why people latch on to labels, because it's also easier to think of things that are labeled,
Yeah.
So,
sure.
like they say, new age music. This is a good example. What's new age music? What is John Tesh? What is, let's say, what's the other new age pianist they always talk about? Yanni. What is, my question is, what is Yanni? Besides,
Ludovico, that pianist.
Yeah, I mean, and how do you categorize Pavarotti or Carreras or Domingo versus Bocelli? Someone like that,
right?
They say, he's an Italian opera star singer. Well, not really.
Star singer, yeah.
Yeah, not
really.
Blended. Sort of pop. Anyway, that's what I think. About why label anything.
Why label? Okay, gotcha. Let's pivot here really quickly with a little clip, a little musical interlude that we like to show just to switch things up. And stay tuned right here on Jack Price is Right. And that was Chopin's Scherzo number 3. Hope you enjoyed that little musical bit. But right back to topic of today's episode on labels. Let's go right into what is behind door number 2. So, Jack Price. Why do people pay attention to them? You've mentioned that.
Yeah. It's a by answer. I mean, twofold answer.
Dual.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a dual. Yes and no. It's that simple. I think certain people just absolutely despise them and refuse to give in to the labels. This makes no sense and blah, blah, blah. And then the other ones, yes, that's absolutely classical, or it's absolutely chocolate. Well, what if it's not? What if you taste chocolate, in a candy bar and it's not chocolate?
They fully subscribe to the idea of labels.
Yeah, it's like mystery meat, it's like, what is in that Big Mac, Anyway.
Right.
I mean, there are all kinds of, stories floating around,
Yeah.
Yes, not good. But I do love their iced coffee and their iced tea. And here is
Great.
right here to prove it.
Oh my God.
Mick
Yeah.
Cafe. Yes.
Okay, wow.
That's
like
short for McDonald's Cafe.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Okay. Well, I mean,
so the point is,
yes and no.
Some people love, yes, I can't say no one pays attention to them. That would be absolutely foolish. I would say the sheep do, the sheep that are led around by their noses with little nose rings in it. I mean, but if you're an independent thinker and you're innovative or whatever you want to call it, you're not going to really pay attention to something that someone says, well, this is blank.
Right.
You're
going to question things. You're just open to questions and open to it not being an easy packaged answer for you.
Yeah, now I just thought of something. There was a critic once. I think it was in Austin, the Austin American Statesman. I played a concert there, and they said, Tamian challenges the very form of music, And I remember reading that, and I thought, oh, that's the kind of review I like. That's it's like it's unorthodox, it's out of the box,
Yeah.
So what is he saying? Well, it's true. I mean, actually, but the thing is,
it's true. Okay.
I also respect what's in the score very much.
Yeah, I was going to say that's interesting that you say that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I mean, actually, one time at the Naumburg, Abby Simon said, "Yeah, I think Tamian's great, but he rewrites everything." And so Bolette got up and said, "Look, he everything's in the score. It's just his brand. He's putting his name on it. That's all he said to Abby." And so Abby said, "Well, okay, I'll vote for him." So I got a unanimous vote for first prize because Bolette convinced Abby Simon that I wasn't rewriting the music. But see what I'm saying? Everybody's got their own opinion on labels, on names, on how the concert went, on this, that, and the other. Most people are not going to take a label seriously. They're just not going to, really respect it, I would say. Yeah. Most people are into their own thing. Well, I think this is neo blah, blah, blah.
This label. Yeah.
You can make up labels too. I mean, I talk to artists. This is interesting. I think the audience will enjoy this. I talk to artists all the time and I go, so you're a jazz musician? And the person goes, oh, I wouldn't call it that. I'm a mixture of, new age and good feelings and, and they make up all this stuff. And by the time the conversation's over, I'm totally confused. And I think they are too, it's like, they don't even know what they are, and I mean, why would you want to, challenge a label that's, going to help you? Like, you can't say that I'm a garbage collector. I'm not, I'm a manager. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. It's the whole thing about it is what it is. Maybe we should just say that,
So
when someone's trying, this is a Chinese restaurant. Well, I went to a Chinese restaurant the other day and lo and behold, it was Indo-Chinese, meaning Asian fusion. Right. So it was a little Indian, a little Chinese. I'm thinking, how does Indian and Chinese mix? But okay. I mean, I guess so. Right. But and that's another thing with food. You never know what you're getting anymore. You know what I mean? I mean, there's the labels on food. Oh, this is this kind of food. No, it's not. It's this kind of food. I'm beginning to think that labels are opinions. They're not labels to help us, but they're there to completely confuse us. You see what I'm saying? And that goes back to the last show.
To guide you in a certain opinion, right? And like last show, we were talking about bags and leading you to think a certain way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it could be propaganda. You know what I mean? It could be just like, well, I want them to buy this, so I'm going to call it this. You know, I mean, I think
branding, right? Like you mentioned, why people label.
But branding has to do with names, in my opinion. You know, it has very little to do with labeling, but like you say, people label things to brand them. So it's very confusing.
Right, yeah.
I mean, a brand is this, okay? The brand of, let's say, if you're talking about the Clyburn, okay, it's a competition, right? That's a brand. That's a brand. And when something happens bad at the Clyburn, people say, oh, it's hurting the brand. It's hurting the Clyburn brand.
The name.
Or the Naumburg, or the Leventrid, or the Queen Elizabeth. I've heard this over and over from jury members. You know, they say, well, we don't want to touch the brand, you know, because the Leeds is known as, you know, the contest Murray Pariah won, so we got to keep it like that. Well, that, you know what that does? That kicks out every other pianist that doesn't sound like Murray Pariah. You know, so you're no longer an international competition. You should call it the competition that Murray made, you know, or something like that. I mean, you know, come on, what are we talking about? Yeah. I mean, is the competition the winners, or is the competition the competition? So I contend it's the confusing. Competition.
Yeah, people disagree. And like you're saying, the jury and the public and the competition itself, everyone has their own idea of what the label should be. Yeah. So
this gets into an interesting area. And I don't want to divert too much, but it's related to labels and brands.
Yeah. Go ahead.
An artist asked me once, Mr. Tamian, Mr. Price, is it important that I win a competition, a major competition? You know what my answer to that is?
What?
I say, don't forget, the contest is in business for the contest. They don't promote the winners very long, if at all. They promote the name of the competition and how much money they're giving away and how spectacular it is and all this. Can you actually name me the past winners can you name me the winner of the last Queen Elizabeth?
Not
Can you name me the name of the last Tchaikovsky competition?
Yeah, it's not. No.
You can here's one for you. You can name me a competition winner, a Tchaikovsky winner, Van Cliburn, Vladimir Ashkenazy, that really weird guy he tied with Ashkenazy actually for the first prize. You know, the guy from England, Good.
Richard Good?
Not Richard Good. No, a really weird name, and he's a bizarre pianist. He's dead now. I forget the guy that tied with Ashkenazy, but he's.
Point is, you can name certain.
You can name, Barry Douglas won the Tchaikovsky, and so did Elmar Oliveira, and I happen to know these certain names because they were from my era. Nathaniel Rosen won the cello first prize in the Tchaikovsky. Nathaniel Rosen, nobody knows it probably. Danil Trifonov won the Tchaikovsky, I believe, along with the Rubinstein and Tchaikovsky, I think. But the point is, you can't name the last one. You see?
Right.
It's not the point that you can remember a Tchaikovsky winner. You can't remember most of them, but you can remember a Tchaikovsky winner, a Clyburn winner, a Naumburg winner. You can remember a Leeds winner. Okay. Like one comes to mind, John Camira Parker. He won the Leeds.
Yeah.
One year, but I'll bet you didn't know that.
So your point, the door number 2 is like, does anyone pay attention to labels?
I don't think so.
Pay attention to
here's what they pay attention. I'm going to give you a secret now. In the concert business, they pay attention to the last guy that called them and the one that called them the most. That's how you get an engagement.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, if you have a manager that calls people all the time and calls them last, that's the person you're going to get the gig. But how does that timing happen? How can you always be the last guy to call for all your artists, for example?
Yeah. How do you stay on that? Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite difficult, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
But that is really just the rule of thumb. Is there, in a competition, what's the best position to be in? The last performer, because they can remember you.
Because of the memory.
Because they can remember you.
Yeah, I think labels has a lot to do with just human memory and how short it can be,
Yeah, it's not really our fault. The brain just doesn't compute sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
We can't remember long enough to remember a brand or remember
the
a label.
Remember a label. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, there does come along extraordinary things that make you, they're kind of guideposts to memory to the labels. Yeah. Oh, I remember I was I know where I was when Kennedy was shot, for example. I was playing marbles in the third grade in the play yard, in the schoolyard at Madison Meadows.
Wow.
I'll never forget it. Yeah, see, I just remember that stuff.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you where I was when Van won the Tchaikovsky. I can't tell you that. Because I was only like 3 years old or whatever. But anyway, the point is, you remember certain things, and that in a way labels it forever. For example, I remember when The Great Escape came out. It was a big release when I was a kid.
Okay.
It's a phenomenal movie. Elmer Bernstein did the music. It was a super famous score. Steve McQueen was in the starring role along with James Garner and what's his name? Atherton, the guy that directed Jurassic Park. What's his name?
Steven Spielberg.
No. This is a big guy, or he was in it. Anyway, I'll come to the name. Yeah. He was in The Great Escape. He was also a director and an actor. I just can't think of him right now. But anyway, the point is, these little guideposts conjure up things in our minds and make us remember things. That's not labeling. That's just being at the right place at the right time and remembering something. Okay. I don't know what you call that. I'm not sure what you call that. I would say a name association, event association, time association. For example, 1959, I remember the big Cadillac, the big red Cadillac with the rockets in the back. Everybody had one. That was a big deal. See, for you, it's not a big deal. It's the long Cadillac. You see it in paintings with the big rocket. It's like a rocket ship. It's the 59 red Cadillac. Everyone had one.
I think it's the association of the feeling that those moments give you, that spontaneity. The more feeling that it gives you, the more you remember it, because you have such a strong emotion tied to it. That's
like where were you on 9/11? I know where I was. You know what I mean? Lots of people that is imprinted, indelibly branded on our minds.
Branded, literally.
It's branded.
Right.
It's not, you don't have that branding, thank goodness. But I know exactly where I was at the moment. Like 5 till 9 on 9/11, 5 minutes till 9 o'clock in the East. I know exactly where I was. Won't talk about it, but nevertheless, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Right. Yes.
These, in a way, these are branding devices, but I think labeling is totally different. It's kind of derogatory when you say, "Oh, this is a trait that a certain group of people in certain countries have." You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Armenians are this, and Russians are this, and French people hate Americans. It's all this kind of labeling. I mean, come on, we know perfectly well that not every French person in the country of France hates every American. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
I mean, we do have some fans, out there, that love America. Some people don't like us. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Then don't live here. Go back to where you came
but
from.
You're saying why labels turn out to be a lot of the times derogatory, and
they're
even
very derogatory.
The verb itself, the word itself, when we say, why are you labeling this and as such and such, and labeling
it's negative.
Has a negative connotation. Yeah,
it's a negative connotation, and as I would say, it is not good.
Not good.
It's not good.
Yeah,
yes.
Correct. Okay. Well, just to wrap up.
Anyway, that's pretty much it. That seals the topic.
Seals the deal here. All right. Yeah, we're running out of time here, but I think that's all the time we've got for the topic of labels today. Richie, thank you for being with us.
No problem.
This has been an awesome topic to get into.
1 year.
And it's as you say, everything is always interconnected. I just wanted to, do a little kind of chat and review over this entire season. This is our season finale of season 2. How do you feel about the last episode of the season? Or now are you thinking of, go ahead.
Well,
we covered a lot.
We've covered a lot, and I've mapped out about 7 seasons. I think I told you last year. I've got 17 times 7. Yeah, I don't know if they'll all come to fruition. Like, it's like Joaquin Andujar used to say, do you know this guy? He was a pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals. He's, I think, Puerto Rican or Colombian or something. And so people would ask him questions. Hey, Joaquin, what happened in the 7th inning? He'd go, you never know. And then they say, what happened with that last fastball you threw? You almost hit the guy. He goes, you never know. And then they said, what happened in the World Series? You kind of went crazy there. He goes, you never know. So it turns out the guy could only say you never know. That's the only English he knew.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so is that going to be the show too? You're going to be like, you never know every time I ask.
No, it's true. You never know what's going to happen. Like, are we going to have the 17th show of the 7th season? I don't know. But the point is, I've got it in my mind, these ideas and these concepts, and I think they apply to music and football and baseball and everything. It's just my concluding thing after doing these shows is everything seems the same all the time. Everything reminds me of everything. That's all I can get out of it. If I'm eating a banana, I think all the things, a banana split. The last time I had a date when I had a banana split, that kind of thing.
Okay.
I mean, it's just bizarre. The things, everything is just so interrelated and connected. From these shows, I get this feeling, and I've always felt that most things are the same. It's all the same.
But you find surprising connections that you wouldn't have expected between them as well, even though it seems like, you're talking about the same, it feels like, oh, deja vu, we're talking about the same thing again. And then suddenly you go, oh, that's an interesting connection. We were talking about agreements. We were talking about truth. We were talking about fear. We mentioned fear, today with labels and all these mediate, we've gone over so many of these topics, and they're all very much together. I mean, that's kind of the human experience.
I think, if we stop to think about, we have more in common, meaning mankind, than we do differences, then I think it would be a better place. We have so much. I have eyes, you have eyes. I have a nose, you have a nose. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. I mean, everybody's kind of really the same with stylistic differentiation. I think everybody has a different style, like I dress with these crazy, golf shirts or whatever they're called. I like fishing shirts,
fishing shirts. Yes.
Yeah. From Sam's it's my favorite shirt. Yes. And they have all these zippers and things on them, and that's just my style in my old age. Of course, my style was different in the 70s. Everybody had long sideburns and these big collars and big fat ties, And so styles change, times change, attention spans change, everything changes. Look at the cars. They're all changed, but they're the same thing. It's like the old adage, if a man changes, doesn't he remain the same man? And the answer is yes, he does. You can't change the actual physical being, but you can change his attitudes. You can be persuasive, maybe in ways you weren't persuasive with him 40 years ago. And now he's softened up and he's more open to your kind of way of thinking, blah, blah, blah. I'm just making stuff up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's all related. Everything's related to one another. Each thing is related to everything. That's what I think.
All right. Thank you so much for being on the show. This is our finale of season 2, and it's been fascinating. So let's see what we have going forward. You never know, like you said.
You never know.
We never know. We never know what Jack Price is going to say. We never know what we're going to get into.
No.
So thank you for that. Okay. With that, the time is right. We have got to go. Let's take a moment here to thank our partners and sponsors. You can see them up here, from Egypt, Cairo Opera Orchestra, all the way to, Boulder Symphony or Chicharone Music and Art. So many different organizations working with us to make this broadcast today possible. And we want to thank you so much for your support. This has been a wonderful journey. Also, I want to mention that we are streaming on all the major platforms. You can find us on Facebook, Vimeo, YouTube, LinkedIn, Alignable, Twitter, X, whatever you'd like, Instagram. We are even streaming on Twitch. So check us out on any of the major streaming platforms, any of your favorites. And also, big shout out to the production. Today's broadcast was powered by Krisztian Palagyi, directing behind the scenes. There he is. Couldn't have done it without you. And any of the people mentioned. And we are sincerely grateful to have everybody along with us for this journey. With that, I think that's all we've got for today. Our episode on labels, our finale. This has been Jack Price is Right. I'm your host, Jennifer Savage. I hope you've gotten a little something out of it. And I know I did. See you next week. Well, we'll see. You never know, like we said. All right. Bye-bye.